Aloha, my name is Eric Geimer. I'm a licensed behavioral analyst here in Honolulu, Hawaii. That means I'm a behaviorist and I provide ABA services, applied behavior analysis services here in Honolulu. We work in the home through Behave Hawaii LLC, that's my company, and that company is credentialed to work with those who have HMSA insurance coverage to make sure that the ABA services we provide in the home are covered by your medical insurance if you do have HMSA. Now, what really is behaviorism? Well, as a behaviorist, what I believe is that behaviors occur for a reason, typically to either gain access to something or to escape from something. Those are the two main reasons that I believe behaviors occur. And why do behaviors recur? Well, behaviors may recur because they have worked. So what we often find is that when we're called into a home to work with a new client, it's typically to start addressing behaviors that a family may find challenging or even problematic. And what we'll start to do is we'll start to provide a therapy, a behavioral therapy, to address the different behaviors. One such technique that we can utilize is, it's very simple, believe it or not, planned ignoring. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to actually ignore anyone. What it means is we are going to be aware of a problematic behavior as it's occurring. We're going to monitor it, not directly providing attention, but we're just going to monitor it to make sure that it doesn't, say, get out of hand and get dangerous. And then when the behavior subsides, that's when we're going to provide whatever the reinforcement for that behavior would have been. So for instance, let's say that we have a child in our family who may be on the autism spectrum and they have learned to communicate something in a way that isn't very pleasant. For instance, maybe they've communicated that they want attention by hitting. Well, what we would do is we would make sure that we're not providing attention when hitting occurs. Instead, we would block the hitting, we would not provide direct attention, and then when the hitting had ceased, we would go ahead and provide attention after we had begun to shape an alternative replacement behavior that is less challenging and more adaptive, one that we can all live with. So what is that process that I've just walked us through? Well, that's a little something called planned ignoring. And it sounds simple, and the basics are simple. The hard part, the clinical part, is implementing it regularly. That is part of a behavioral program that we would create and provide coming into the home doing ABA services. We would create a clinical setting in the home environment with a therapeutic relationship with the client where we are working on addressing these types of things in a structured manner. And as we gain mastery within that sort of therapeutic relationship of that behavioral skill that we're adding into the client's behavioral repertoire, then we would begin to generalize that skill so that it's true not just when we're there in the home doing a session working on behaviorism with the client, but so that it's true in the home setting with all individuals in the home at all times. And we can also provide behavioral training to members of the family to help them also run that program more consistently when the session isn't occurring, when we aren't around joining you and your family in your home. So that's planned ignoring. That is one of the ways that we would address certain problematic behaviors. For this, we would create a functional behavior assessment and a behavior intervention plan before we ever started a program, so we would know exactly what it is that we're trying to address behavior-wise, what we're going to work on in what order, how we're going to work on those things. And then also, you noticed I said reinforcement. Well, what is the reinforcement that we're going to be providing? If the behavior is attention seeking, that's great. But that's different than something like, hey, letting us know that they want access to a certain toy or maybe a snack or something like that. So those are some of the things that we would consider in those planning phases before we begin the therapy. And then we would do the therapy, we would work toward mastery, we would work toward generalization, and then we would work on new sets of skills. And that's sort of the behavioral ABA process in a nutshell. So in this video, I hope you've learned a little about myself and Behave Hawaii, about ABA, how it may help you and your family, how we can work with you if you have HMSA coverage. Your insurance coverage will cover ABA services. And I also hope that you've learned a little bit about planned ignoring as one of the strategies that we can utilize to address challenging behaviors in the home. Thanks so much. Please feel free to reach out today. behavehawaii.com. That has a cool form on there that you can fill out, and it'll get you in touch directly with me, Eric Geimer, LBA, here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Thanks so much, and aloha.